The boy Jonni, Shreve, BB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Uncut. I'm gonna get right into it, guys. I'm gonna get straight to the point. There is a video that Fouad did on his bodybuilding, on his bodybuilding podcast, and Nick Trigilli did one, and then Greg did one, and I thought I'd chime in. I want to chime in with this because I've been thinking about this forever, and a lot of us have, because of all the deaths in the IFBB. Literally. Here's my opinion in how they can actually change things right away and give you guys an understanding of what you can and cannot do legally. Number one, the league cannot do anything but change the judging criteria, period. They're not going to change any of the classes. They made the classes how they are to be able to get more popularity in terms of more people are able to join the sport of bodybuilding. Before it was just bodybuilding, and that is going to be the bread and butter no matter what you do, no matter what it is. That thing sells tickets. People want to come see the beasts, the monsters, the jacked men that are just got foolish amounts of muscle and they're dry as hell. That's what this was based around. They put more classes in for more people to be able to join the sport of bodybuilding. And now they have. They're not going to change that. The only thing they can do is change the judging criteria. Not by much, but by just literally not rewarding the ultra massive and ultra, dry guys. Period. And you can be like, oh man, but people won't go see the show. Yes, they will. They went and saw the show when the guys weren't as big and weren't as dry. They'll still see it regardless. Now, I'm not saying not as dry. What I'm saying is that if you keep the same criteria as classic physique in a sense of you still have to be able to pose, put more emphasis on the routines, making way more emphasis on like your waist and stuff like that, because the majority of the bigger waists and stuff are from the large amounts of food, insulin use, growth hormone, all those things to get bigger. So if you don't reward the bigger guys, sorry the guys who are out there, but the guys who are big right now, let's just make this thing clear. The only reason why guys like Ian Valera exist, Nick Walker exist, James Hollingshead exist, all these massive men in bodybuilding, the only reason why they're anywhere near the size they are is because they decided to reward Dorian Yates the year that freaking Sean Ray probably should have won. I'm just saying. You guys can be like, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm just saying, here's how the domino effect happens. We have the last Olympian before Dorian. We have, Lee Haney, whatever, right? We have bodybuilders that are still very, aesthetic, big, whatever. Not massive, but there you go. The next we have Dorian Yates comes in and dominates everybody. You cannot deny it. The guy was killing everybody. But the year where he could have definitely lost was when he had this torn everything and Sean Ray was there. Sean Ray should have won, my opinion. Sean Ray gets that award. Sean Ray stays that guy. Everybody chases Sean Ray. Everybody chases that aesthetic looking physique. Some of y'all don't even know Sean Ray was like 205 at the time. He'd be 212 competitor. He was on stage with guys like Dorian. Like, he wasn't mass. He looked amazing. His posing, his physique, everything. There's your domino effect of what happens. Ronnie Coleman comes in and Ronnie Coleman doesn't think he's got to be that big. Nazer, all of them are not chasing Dorian Yates. And then Ronnie Coleman. And then, everything got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So guys, like, I can guarantee you, so the guys that I mentioned, who's your favorite bodybuilder? I guarantee you're going to say a really big guy. And I can promise you this right now. All those bodybuilders I just mentioned were not naturally anywhere near close to that size they are right now. Which means that somewhere along the lines of those guys getting the size they are right now, I'm not just talking those guys, talking every big bodybuilder right now, had to pass a size that was still very aesthetic and still very, they're still aesthetic. I'm not trying to take away from them at all. I'm not trying to take that away. I'm talking about the extra mass that was only put on to compete because they know that they're not going to reward the size they were at. Ian Valera's size going in as a pro is a phenomenal size. But he had to pack on 20, 30 more pounds, right? Oh, guys, a lot of you guys watching the video but not subscribed, so do your boy a favor and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button too, so next time I put a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. Hopefully by now, guys, you like the video, so if you do, hit the like button. Back to the show. So the judges aren't going to say, hey, guys, we're going to do anything where we're going to check your hormones, nothing, because as soon as they say we are going to check your hormones or anything like that, they're now liable. That means everybody, let's just pretend that they said a long time ago that they will check check your hormones or whatever it is, they had some overseeing of your drug use, they are all liable for every single death that is out there right now. They are liable. Same with the NFL. Why do they got to change their helmets and everything else? I went through that evolution. They're liable. The second your league has to have some type of a health check, like you got to get a medical before you go in. And if the league says you need a medical to come in and compete here to regulate the overall drug use, and you die on their watch, they are liable. Legally, they can fight it and everything else because you signed the dotted line, but at the same time, they're liable. The way the league is set up, it's a business that sanctions out shows. So their promoters will pay the IFBB to sanction to have shows to run their own show, and those guys are responsible for their show. They cannot say, to do my show, we are going to make sure that you're going to test your levels and make sure you're not overusing X, Y, and Z. No, because the second they do that, they are liable. So the only thing that they can actually do that is a safe business move is just change the criteria of the judging. Just judge it in a way where you do not reward guys that are big, and it's super simple. You got gyno, you got a big waist. Basically, you just reward the guy that looked like Cedric at one point, but not as big as Cedric. Cedric had to get that size, right? I'm not saying that's what did him in. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like Cedric still had to put on more size to compete from him. He wasn't the size we saw him at, that size he had. He wasn't always that weight. He had to put on more and more and more like everybody else. So let's say Phil Heath, screw it. Phil Heath comes in, he's 240 on stage, 45 or whatever. His first year he wins Olympia, and that is it. And guys that come second or third don't come close, or they have to come close only in shape. So the next guy that comes, you can't have, this didn't happen, but you can't reward and say, all right, Phil Heath, first place, second place, big Rammy. And it's like, no, because you're like, oh shit, second place, that guy's coming up close. I gotta keep putting on size because I don't know if this big guy's gonna take me. So the judges have to basically have like, you got gyno, you got anything that looks not aesthetically pleasing. And that's very, like, I'm talking shapes, all those things. You can, basically put in your judging criteria. So when it comes out and you decide to put whoever first or second or third, it goes accordingly. And the guys that are a little more blockier and not as, or just too big or whatever, they end up just kind of downsizing, and you get to see them downsizing whatever, right? That's on the judges. It's the only thing they can do in my head. Literally, it's all they can do. Anything else, I said already, they're basically liable. You can't do that. Now, what bodybuilders can do, because again, this example is only if the judges change the criteria. Now, on you, what you do to keep yourself safe is you get blood work all the time, and you go and check your blood levels, and like you say your test, whatever, and your test is, let's say like, ours is like, I think it's like 8 to 32 nanograms per deciliter, whatever. You get your blood work checked and your test levels are at 78 or 100, and it's supposed to be top range is 32. You have to make sure that it's always sitting in that range. She's never above the range, because we know that when just taking that one part of like blood work, if your test levels are way too high, and it doesn't matter, if one thing's too high, other things start to be affected. So one thing we can easily do as just bodybuilders is just getting frequent blood work checked to make sure that the levels you're using, like the amount of milligrams you're using, don't put you over the max range, right? You're always in the, like maybe, a few points shy of the max range. You don't want to sit in a teeter on the max range. I'm talking like if it's 32, you're at 28, whatever. I'm just saying something like that, right? And then other things you're using, because certain things have direct correlation with how it affects your body. Like doing stuff like, drying your body out, or with like diuretics, or, any estrogens and stuff like that. You can see how the thyroid and fat, all this stuff. You make sure that throughout prep, your blood work is in the right range. Then you'll see a correlation of the judging and then the athletes starting to go in the right direction. Because to be honest, you're not eating a bunch of food to try and get bigger if you're not getting judged on that. And then it comes to just your overall health. If you're trust me, there's not a bodybuilder in the IFBB right now. And if you could be wrong, an IFBB professional bodybuilder right now where their test levels are in between the minimum and max range, it's over. If you're doing 150 milligrams plus, if you're doing 200 milligrams a week, it's going to be over. I'm like, this is like, and you can, I guarantee, a few people can definitely contest to this. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. But from what I've seen and from myself is that literally, depends who you are, obviously, but literally, if you're doing like 200 plus milligrams of test a week, you're over the range. Promise you that. And you're like, no way, there's no way I would get to be over the range. You probably got to do grams. No, let's put it this way. If you're getting HRT from the doctor to keep you in the range, your doctor doesn't give you HRT for you to put on muscle. They give you HRT to put your test levels within the proper range, the optimal range for your age. They're not like, hey man, here's some tests so you can get jacked in the gym and look good again. No, that's not the goal. It's like, hey, their test levels are basically non-existent. So let's give you some tests here to raise the level up here, because we know that it links to, mental health, depression, productivity, blah, 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 blah. And that range is usually around like 80 to like 120, 150-ish, maybe. And that's to put in the right range. So you can imagine what 500 milligrams, a low dose for, a beginner dose is 500. We're looking at 500, 750, or 1,000. 500 for beginner, intermediate, 750, 1,000. I've heard that a gazillion times, but think about it. I want you guys to do yourself. Go look it up. Go look up the range. I'm sure you can find it. Go watch Derek or Greg. I guarantee they got something on test levels, correlation of how many milligrams can possibly give you a certain amount of nanograms to deciliter or milliliter, whatever it is, depending on where you're from. Guarantee. Just saying. Those are the only two ways that I think and see that this league ever changing to a place where you're not, where you're seeing less people die. And the thing what sucks about it is, it's not like it's like, oh, you start doing steroids or whatever, you're gonna die. No, it means like it's over a period of time. Your heart gets bigger. Let me break this thing down for you, okay? This is what happens, all right? You start bodybuilding, you're 180 pounds. You start your cycle. You're 5'8" and you're 180 pounds. Your BMI says you should be around that weight to begin with. Either way, so 5'8", 180. Start bodybuilding. 220, right? Your 180 body and the 5'8", 180 frame, your heart is working for that. Your heart doesn't want to get any bigger. You're 5'8", you're 180, you're getting to the rate, you're getting to that level, like let's say you're a good amount of muscle too. Let's say you're 5'8", 180 pounds, and you're 12% body fat. Very, very common to see. All of a sudden you do a cycle, whatever, and all of a sudden you're 220 pounds in a year. Very possible. 220, depends what you do. Now you're 220 pounds. Now what do you think grows? Just your muscle? Just your biceps, your thighs, your back, your legs? No, your heart grows. Your heart grows. It gets bigger. But guess what? Your bones don't grow. Your cavity doesn't grow any bigger, right? So you start taking GH or something like that, and you got everything starts to get bigger, but your heart doesn't have enough room. It's getting locked and jammed in there while it's getting bigger. And the demand for the heart is hard because that heart only wanted to pump for a 180 pound, 5'8", 180. That's all it wanted to pump. They didn't want to pump any more than that. They just want to be like, hey, 180, that's a good enough weight for me. I'm not gonna let you get any bigger. That's it. 180 pounds, good. I'm perfectly fine at pumping 100 pound, 80 frame body. And then you put on 40 pounds. And then you put on another, and all of a sudden you're an IFBB pro, and after 10 years, you are 300 pounds. It was over a course of period of time. Okay, cool. But guess what? Your heart went from here to here. It grew. And then guess what happens to hearts? Because like the body is so resilient. The body is so resilient. We are on this earth because we have the most resilient and adapting freaking bodies there is. Literally, we're such an adapting organism. It's amazing. Just look more into us, study us more, and you'll be like, holy shit, we are some remarkable creatures. We will find a way to survive. We will just find a way. Doesn't really matter what you do. Hey, you don't want to eat food enough? That's fine. We'll find a way to survive. Oh, you don't want to eat this? That's fine. We'll find a way to convert whatever, this and that and the other. Oh, what happens? And then all of a sudden down the road, it's like, hey, man, I'm getting tired. I'm getting way too tired. I can't keep pumping anymore. And then it just stops. Like very, very like, animated kind of like, example here, but like it's what happens. It's not immediate. It's not going to be like, oh, within the first couple of years, it's going to be something that creeps up on you down the road. And you're like, oh shit, I'm having complications later on. What the heck? That's what happens. So, and people want to say, you live by the sword, die by the sword. That's the most disingenuous shit I've heard in my life. The bodybuilders, just like myself, I started bodybuilding, started doing steroids because I'm not doing steroids anymore. Because like, you're liars. No way. Shut up. I'm not, whoever wants to believe that's fine. I'm talking to you people. I'm not talking to ones who want to sit there and hate no matter what. I'm on nothing. I haven't been on jack shit all since the end of October. Been on zero. Nothing. Trust me. Whatever. Right? Now, I started doing steroids so I could level the playing field. And then when I got into bodybuilding, I got into competing. I won my pro card of super heavyweight. I went to my first show. I remember Luke Sando was placed one ahead of me, my first pro show. And then, next year he's you know, like Olympia Arnold, these crazies. And I'm on stage, I'm getting 15th, 16th. I'm like, I gotta get better. And I finally get, you know, 11th. Next year after that, I crack top 10 twice. I'm 10th and I'm 9th. And in my group are freaking Olympians, literally. And I'm sitting there like, all right, cool. All right, then, you know, before COVID, I'm like, the goal is I got to put on X amount of more pounds and I'm going to get myself up there and, you know, put on 5 to 7 more pounds. That's what I want to do. That was my goal. But I only did that because I knew that I was not going to come close to being competitive unless I was in striking distance with my size my frame could give me. Guys like Will Bonac have great physiques. They got to get bigger and bigger, right? Everybody, guy like Regan Grimes, to me, I'm like, the guy's got the dopest physique and he's got to get bigger and bigger. They should be rewarding Regan Grimes. You want to put a halt to shit? Reward Regan Grimes. You're suddenly like, oh shit, damn, that guy's aesthetic as hell. Whew, I can't. That guy's waist is small as ever. Smallest wrists and ankles I've seen in the game, literally. Reward freaking Patrick Moore. Reward those guys. Reward fucking Antoine before he gets too big and has to put on more size. And reward these aesthetically pleasing athletes that are just put together, that are like bigger size Chris Bumsteads, instead of rewarding the guys who are where they are right now. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with their physique, but their physique is a result of the judging criteria, not with what they want to do. I promise you that. And they can, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be a dick about it. But if any of those guys say, I want to be 300 pounds, they're liars. Because they say in the off season, it sucks really bad to eat. I hate eating. Man, eating's hard. And I get that. Trust me, 100%, I understand that. They want to say, oh, but then you can't tell me in the same voice that you want to be this size. You're this size because you have to be, because you need to be that size to hopefully win, to beat guys like Big Ramy, to beat guys like, you know, Rolly Winkler, to beat guys like whatever, all these guys, and they're being rewarded. Ian has climbed up the ranks. Ian is a top pro. Ian is a guy you need to worry about, but he didn't have to be at that frame. He could have been the same guy at a different size because the guy always brought foolish condition. I'm just giving examples. That's all I'm doing is giving an example. But that, in my way, is the only way you're going to change this league. The only realistic way of doing it. You got the chat below if you want. Let's go have a chat below. But literally, that's the only way. Just saying. Anyway, guys. Now, what can actually help you with your health is literally immune factor, vitality, and joint armor. These are ones that I take on a daily that help me stay healthy. And this is more so just for me performing on day to day. I'm not doing this because I'm bodybuilding, because I'm not bodybuilding anymore. But I literally love using this because you're getting your vitamins. You're getting more of your vitamins to help with your immune system. I'll break these all down later in the next video for sure. But again, if you're looking at getting something that will actually help change your life or save your life for the better, use my code Jonni10 for 10% off Blue Star Nutraceutical. And I'll break these down later for you. And if you want to go look on that and be like, hey man, can someone do a review on it? Go ahead, do a review. I'll give you my honest opinion on it too. Either way, that's the only way I can look at it, guys. That's the only way I can see it working. Anyway, guys, if you agree or disagree, let me know. Comment below. Let's have an open conversation. Make sure to keep conversation clean. Let's keep it cool. Let's keep it positive, but let's keep it informative at the same time, guys. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You know, I'm account that tell like it is transparent, vulnerable truth. And for coaching, JonniShreve.com, guys. If you want to know more about my coaching, book yourself a phone consult, 50 to 30 minutes. At the end of that consult, I deduct the consult off any package that you pick. Also, guys, hit the description code below for those discount codes or promo codes that will save life or change life for the better. Guys, I'm on Instagram and TikTok, seeing your progress pics, your training pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you, so you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, because full of load your life. In the meantime, keep doing chase.